Yeah, so last stream I was like, oh, I'm gonna do loads of Highlander stuff next week, and then I didn't until a couple of days ago. But I really like the two decks I've built so far. So I've been playing both of these on ladder and having a pretty good time of it. I've climbed to Diamond just testing these Wanderer decks. So let's start with Lilith. Lilith is probably my favourite Highlander general I've played. She has the combination of a Bloodborne spell that makes minions, which is valuable in Highlander, obviously great with Mythron Wanderer. Lots of very powerful high rarity bombs. Like Abyssian gets all these bonkers cards that have a ton of text on them, like Vorpal Reaver, that you can play. And a lot of little 2-card combos, basically the Swarm stuff. Like if you get a Swarm Enabler plus a Swarm Payoff with some stuff in play on either side, you can turn a random board into a huge advantage or a game-winning play. So I should probably skim through these quite quickly, but Darkfire Sacrifice helps us get Wanderer up faster, helps us get big dudes up faster. Furiosa is a key component of nut draws and makes the Wraithlings even scarier. Grasp of Agony is actually just a pretty strong tempo card, a little bit of burst, and much needed AoE. Celebrant helps us smooth the kind of high clunky curve we have. Cryptographer makes more dudes. Once you have Mythron Wanderer in play, this card is 3 mana for 7 power, which is a lot. Demonic Lure, that's what needed. Healing Mystic. I've gone with this and Rescue RX over Azure Herald in my decks because the extra trading power is quite valuable, I think, and being able to heal like these decks run a lot of big minions, so being able to heal them up for another attack is quite strong. Primus Fist goes well with Wraithlings and other little sacrifice foddery dudes. Punish is not very good with Lilith, but a bit of a necessary evil. Rescue RX, as I mentioned, this card has really impressed me. It's easy to play early on, it basically never dies while it's a structure, and then it pops out and it's a 3/5 and you heal a bunch. Like 5 is a lot to heal. And it just does a lot of work. Shiro is really nice with Wraithlings, as a little value generating 2-drop. Spectral Blade is great, it's good removal. Bound Tormentor is card advantage that allows us to make a big tempo swing. Deathfire Crescendo is one of our combo pieces where if you have some stuff in play and they have some stuff in play, you can play this and make a massive dude. Mind Layeth is awkward but leads to some very strong blowers. Like this card, although it's situational, it does things other cards can't. And it goes well with Darkfire Sacrifice and Ritual Banishing, which is the best removal spell we have. It's mostly unconditional. Sarlacc is... I play Sarlacc wherever I can, basically. He's really good in slightly slower Swarm decks because he's annoying and gives you gas and ways to use cards like Ritual Banishing forever for free. Sojourner is really handy card draw and great with buffs, which obviously we have Mythron Wanderer to do. Soul Grimoire is probably the best Swarm payoff card. This card is strong enough that you can sometimes just jam it on curve and have it still be really good. And I've won games by doing that. Because, you get to +6 attack and eat their 4-drop, and that's pretty useful. Can call you back from being behind. But a lot of the time you play this and you get to like 12 or 16 power and you kill your opponent. Wraithling Fury, this card is pretty much under the radar, but it was really, really good last time I played Highlander. Because it's basically a 3 mana 5/5 with haste. When you have a Wraithling in play, which happens a decent amount of the time, or you can just Bloodborne spell plus this for a 4 mana 5/5 that comes with a 1/1, which is still really, really good. It's a very efficient card for what it is. Wraithling Swarm, this makes a bunch of dudes. We can buff them, we can sacrifice them, we can take up space with them. Pretty solid card. Bloodtide Priestess, one of our Swarm enablers. This should be no surprise. Desolator is value, healing, card advantage, artifact removal, you name it. Gate. This card is something of an experiment. I mean, if it sticks, you win the game, so there's that. Necromata, we have a small number of quite powerful Dying Wish minions in this deck, and this is one of our card draw spells that we have access to, basically, because of that. So, although we don't have a strong Dying Wish theme, we just have 4 or 5 cards, but that's fine, because it just draws 2 of a selection of very powerful cards. I think those... What have we got? We've got Desolator, Sarlacc, Reaper of the Nine Moons, Vorpal Reaver, and Grimes. So, like, all... Sarlacc is a utility tool, and the rest are Balmy Wincon type cards. Thunderhorn is Thunderhorn. Black Solace, obviously this card's great, because it's huge. It attacks for a ton of damage, and it's pretty respectable even if it gets dispelled or traded into immediately. Dancing Blades is mid-range value. Dark Transformation, another necessary evil removal spell, but needs must. Fura Chakram, a new addition that makes the Wraithlings very powerful. It's disgusting with Thunderhorn in particular, but also any of our other large minions. Nether Summoning is a value gasm when you get it to work. Reaper is awesome, one of our key mid-range tools. Shadow Dancer, also awesome, one of our key swarm tools, and also provides healing, artifact chip, etc. Grimes is kind of silly RNG nonsense, but he's a lot of fun to play in decks like this. It goes well with Necromata, and is just kind of a useful grindy card. It sort of works better than you'd expect, considering he's not normally that powerful. Skimming ahead. Mythron Wanderer is our namesake. Necrotic Sphere is a really nice AoE card that can remove arbitrarily large things. It's really good against bailing you out against Lionar in particular, because they like to dogpile you. Vorpal Reaver is one of the reasons to play this deck. Nemivore is kind of a hilarious option for hopefully randomly beating control by playing this and then a bunch of Wraithlings. And then we have Variax, who is our biggest late game win con drop card type thing. So there's a couple of things this deck could have. This is a common theme with, I find these with the Ragnora deck as well, but there's a couple of tech cards that I'm finding I want, that I haven't made space for yet, but could go in and fit really well. The first one is Mage Swarm. I did actually end up putting that in the Ragnora deck. It hasn't made it into this one, but this deck has slightly more healing to help that. Basically, Mantra is really annoying, and 8 gates in general. And even decks that have strong Bloodborne spells and the ability to spear up minions and pressure you, like Xerix decks for instance, all kind of get turned off by Mage Swarm, and it has a few useful things like it shuts off Phoenix Fire, which is obvious, but also shuts off Bone Swarm or Kinematic Projection or Scion's First Wish. I swear every time I play this deck they always have Darkfire into Quest. I've never done that myself, although I have Flash Reincarnationed into it, spoiler alert. One thing I've seen other people playing that I should probably put in while we're here is Gibbet. I wasn't sure. I kind of misread the card initially, and I thought, no, that's way too good. What it looks like it does is when it attacks, like Ice Shadow Gauntlet, it just instantly kills the minion and replicates itself. I thought, no, that'd be way too powerful. Why would they do that? It must be like rubbish. As it turns out, it's neither. It's pretty strong. So the enemy minion still gets a counterattack, so the Gibbet will die, but then the enemy minion is destroyed and replaced with a Gibbet. And the card is just really awkward to play around. Surprisingly so, it's pretty good. So I should probably think of putting that in probably instead of Primus Fist. We Highlander players believe in Heart of the Cards, definitely. Also, hey, thanks for joining.